Hey everybody, Brian Davis races, and you can too. I am excited to be racing my bike. We have had a rough start to our season here in Wisconsin. We had our first race canceled because the pavement was so bad that they actually canceled the race. And then I was able to get away and do a 3-day race out in La Crosse, which was great. Really, really happy I signed up for that now because the Wisconsin racing series has been a little bit difficult at best. So, all right. Well, anyway, you can see the from the drone that this is in a county park kind of setting, which is nice, big, safe roads, no problems, close to traffic, and there's a Boy Scout camp out thing. So there's a couple people on the road, but they were just confused about what we were doing. So, in any event, this is a fun course. I've done this course before, and I've really struggled with this course. There is a pretty significant hill in it, and it definitely has had my number in years past. I'm pretty sure I had to pull out of a race because I couldn't finish. I'm sure I've gotten dropped out of this race, and I think even for a year or two I didn't even bother showing up to this race because of this hill. But this year, with Trainer Road on my side, I have felt much more confident to tackle tougher races. Yeah, so I'm just going to let the video play for the first lap, and then we're going to skip a few to one little piece of the race I want to talk about, and then it's kind of set up for a couple other things. So in any event, I think we had maybe 25 or so people in the race. It was a cold day. There's really not a significant wind to speak of, and if there really isn't a significant wind to speak of. I don't recall any headwind, and I did end up going solo for a little while, and I certainly would have paid attention to that. So, yeah. Anyway, interestingly, when I finished this race, my feeling about this race, that it was way too easy. So I did something here in a few minutes to make it hard, and then after that, there was just nothing going on until the last lap. So it was a pretty mellow race, to be honest with you. Yeah. Just for the record, I will always be honest with you. Hate it when I say that. So this is the part where we come up to the hill. You can see the lap. This first lap is pretty chill pace we're gonna hit, and then shortly I'm gonna skip up. I'm not gonna fast forward the video. I'm just gonna skip ahead to keep the video reasonably short. Okay. This is one lap. We're just crossing the start-finish line. Right. Boom. There. All right. Now, here's a little incident that is something to talk about. So, you can see the person ahead of me, his name is Bob. I later found out. But he leaves a gap, and I go to fill the gap. And for whatever reason, Bob didn't think that was appropriate. So then Bob bumps my bars. Now, I was not happy about that. So, I let Bob know about that. So in a moment here, we became friends, and after we talked about the bumping of the bars, we had a moment to reflect on that, and that's the beauty of Masters racing, is it doesn't have to be so stressful. So there's a couple things I want to point out here. One, if somebody bumps your bars, boom, no big deal, not the end of the world. You're not going to go down instantly just because somebody hit your bars, so relax. Secondly, I will say I'm still totally against that move from Bob. I think it is uncalled for, unnecessary. There was no reason to do it. It's just him showing that he's a track cyclist, which a couple years ago I actually had the same encounter with Bob and the same conversation with Bob, that he's a track cyclist, and that's cool and all, but really I don't care. I don't want you to bump my bars. This sport is dangerous enough without that. So I had a little adrenaline running and decided to go off on my own for a little bit. So I don't have a rear camera on this race, but you wouldn't see much. So I think after I extended this, I'm going to go to fast forward for my solo breakaway here. I don't remember how many laps it was. I think it was only 3 laps. And I got maybe a quarter of a lap lead. So I'd also like to point out, Bob and I are fine, like I'm not like upset about that, but do I think it's necessary? No, I think it's stupid, to be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. So yeah, there's no reason for it in our category. No one's turning pro. It's 4 laps into the race. There's no reason to do that. It's just not necessary. So that's my vote. Maybe you guys have different feelings. So this is me off in front. I am, of course, fast forwarding this. I'm not riding this fast. So first lap was good. First lap off the front was good. I was solo. I was hoping somebody would dangle, or I was trying to dangle off the front just a little bit, hoping somebody would bridge up to me, and then I could get some extra horsepower, because I was not feeling totally motivated to accomplish this mission by myself. But the field was going so incredibly slow in the first half of this race, or the first couple laps of this race. I thought, man, there's really not anything bad that could happen from trying this, and then if nothing else, I get a good workout, which I did. And I still have a lifelong goal of being in a breakaway, not necessarily even a solo breakaway, but I still have never accomplished that mission, so it's definitely on my list. Again, I was really hoping somebody would bridge up to me and we could work together, but that didn't happen. I did have one teammate in the field, Andy, and we didn't have a deep conversation about what tactics were going to be, but that's okay. I think both of us are just out here for training, and neither of us really had a huge amount of care about how we did in the race, which was fun. So then there's no pressure to do anything. So there's a couple little tips here I'm going to point out. So when I go off the front, I tried it, like I said, I tried to dangle out there so somebody could bridge up to me and then I could have extra horsepower. That didn't happen. So then I'm kind of committed. Now there's a couple mistakes I made. I remember when I was doing this, I kept turning around and looking and turning around and looking and turning around and looking, and I kept telling myself every time, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing that. But God, is that hard to help. You're just so curious. So the hill is what killed me here. And there's actually, I think, this is not confirmed, but I think there's one particular rider in the field that put a lot of effort into pulling me back. And I just don't really know why. It's okay, I'm not like offended by it, but if I were going to help this rider, and I think I have some clips of him later. If I were going to help this rider, I would say, if you're going to put in all that effort, you should have just ripped away from the field and bridged up to me and worked with me. That would have been good, because he's a really strong rider. I don't know about his tactical experience with cycling, because he was visibly nervous in this race. All right, so now I'm getting caught. I think that was, 4, 5, 6, 7, only 3 laps up on the field, almost exactly. And then I did something I think was smart here. So I know I'm going to get caught. There's no reason to keep throwing Valor at the wind. But this gives me a chance to get my heart rate under control, to get a breath, to get relaxed, and then when the field comes, I have something left in the tank to join the field. So there's another teammate of mine that did the 4-5s race, and for reasons I'm not totally sure about, he went off the front by himself, and I think this is the part that he messed up. He went off the front and he stuck it as long as he possibly could, and then the field came and he was blown right out the back. So if you're not going to make the brake stick, if it's obvious that's not going to happen, then just relax and try to get a break, collect your thoughts, and then rejoin the field. So, so the gentleman up here to my right kitty corner in the green and black is from a team called Neff Cycle. Incredible team, great organization. They have so supportive of cyclocross. This particular rider, again, super strong. I think he did a lot of pulling to pull me back. Not upset about that, but again, if I were coaching him, I would say, hey, just break away from the field because you're really strong, and then you don't have to do all that work for all these people that don't care about your result anyway, because he was his only teammate. He had no teammates. So, yeah, if I could communicate to him, I would say it would have been cooler if you would have bridged up to me and we could have worked together. So the other thing about, not to pick on this person, and I didn't catch his name and I didn't get a chance to talk to him after the race, so I apologize, but if someone out there that knows him can buy him a set of rollers for Christmas, that would be great. So he's definitely a mountain biker. He's gripped on those bars pretty hard. He gets pretty nervous in the group, and I think for anyone else listening, again, I'm not trying to pin this on him, but I think there's a really interesting learning opportunity here. So you can see him bouncing around left and right, moving the bike all over the place. Rollers would eliminate that in such a short amount of time, and he would be so much smoother and save so much energy by being smooth. And that's usually when people from mountain biking background or even cyclocross make the jump to road. This is very, very common. So we've had plenty of people on our team, and that's always been my suggestion to them is, hey, take this off season, grab a set of rollers, and just Goof around with them. They are awful to learn at first. Awful. But eventually you'll figure it out. And the rollers that I have, I can ride the static rollers, and I have a set of those. And then I also bought a few of those, or a set of those roly-poly rollers, for lack of a better term. They have a frame, and it bounces. It's got like a suspension in the frame, so it moves back and forth. I think they're called E-motion rollers, but they're fantastic. They're expensive, but they're fantastic. If anybody wants to buy mine, let me know, because I don't use them anymore. Yeah. But now that I've said that, it's probably the only thing I'm going to think about doing tomorrow. So, in any event, like I said, this gentleman's a really strong racer. He did like go off the. I can tell he's a mountain biker because he went off into the. Maybe he does it right here, but he went off into the grass a couple times and was totally comfortable with that, which is kudos to you. You know, like he definitely didn't freak out. But again, those rollers would smooth out the pedal stroke and smooth out his bobbing around quite a bit. And then, yeah, I don't know. Tactically, it just takes a long time to learn cycling. That just comes with time. So I'm not gonna say much about that. And I would say that I am not even an expert, even after almost 20 years of doing this. So, by the way, I did skip way ahead in the race. If you're keeping track, so we are now. Let's see, 16 out of 21 laps. So there's 4 laps left, and like I said, this race was really, really pretty easy. I'm going to skip another chunk here. I'm not going to make you watch 4 laps of this. So after I did my breakaway, then I just went back and sat in my home, which is at the back of the field, and trying to rest up as much as I can for some sort of sprint. Again, my teammate Andy and I, he's much stronger than me. I might be a slightly better sprinter, but he has just more raw power for sure, no doubt about it. So we didn't really have a plan put together for this race, which again is okay. But I think our lack of plan ended up being kind of a plan by the time it's all said and done. So in a minute we'll skip to the last lap and you can see what unfolds. But it was really weird. In this course in the past, there's always been a breakaway or multiple attempts. Last year, I think I did this race, and there were like 4 different attempts for breakaways. There was 1 or 2 really strong riders that kept trying to do solo breakaways, and then there was a crash, unfortunately, in the finishing straight. This would be the finishing straight where you'd want to be starting your sprint either there or before that, because this uphill is a little bit more significant than it might look like on film. And by the time you get to the start-finish line, you're pretty destroyed. So if you start too early, you will definitely not make it, and if you start too late, that's obviously not good. So you can see our friend there in the green and black again you can't see him right now, but he's on the front again, and he was on the front a lot in this race. And again, if you're going to be on the front, you may as well be on the front by yourself and get some separation and make other people have to bridge up to you. Try to do a breakaway. He's definitely strong enough to do a breakaway. Either, I don't know, solo or not, but he's strong enough to initiate a breakaway for sure, and he's brave enough to do it. So, yeah, that'd be my suggestion. So, hope that works. So this team, the team that just pulled in front of me, is Velocause, and they had a number of riders in the race. So that gentleman from Velocause, who's right next to me there to my right, is Andy. I believe he's their team leader. They have another one, Brian, who usually wears blue shoes. He'll take off on the last lap. So I'm not quite sure what their strategy was for this race. So I guess their strategy was to send Brian off in the last lap, which they successfully did. And then I'm not sure if they had a plan B from there. So we'll see the last lap when that takes place. Let's just skip to that part now. All right, last lap action, my friends. We're just about to cross the start-finish line. You can see everybody's all excited for the last lap. We're all across the road. Nobody's quite ready to lead the charge, but it gets a little crowded here for my taste, and I'm ready to move up for the last lap. So, assuming some people are going to start to move off the front, I wanted to be attentive to that. And there is my teammate, Andy, to the right in the red socks in the Parts Depot Diablo kit. So we are going way too slow for our last lap, and somebody is going to come through here and do something, right? So there's our friend on the front, and there goes Brian. That is the guy from the other team, Velocause. So our friend from Neff, again, just doing all kinds of work for no real strategic reason. Yeah. And more unnecessary argy-bargy, but that's okay. Still a lot of lap left. Don't have to get that defensive on this big of a road, but here we go. Okay, so my teammate Andy's on the front, pulling back Brian, which in theory I think would be, for me, I hope, maybe, pretty sure Andy would be doing that for me, but he does kind of soft pedal it. I think we talked after the race that was his thought, was to soft pedal. Brian's way off the front, so somebody's going to get agitated here and start to chase this down. And I think we swing over to the left, and I see somebody sprinting off to the right, and I jump on that wheel and join it. So this was kind of funny. There he goes. All right, boom, I'm on it. This could be good for me. This guy is going and going and going. He thinks he's setting the world on fire. And watch when he turns around. I don't think he expected someone to be there. Whoa! Oh, and then he just stops. And I'm telling him, I'm like, you're already committed. Just keep going. Just keep going. I think right here I say, I'll give you $1. That literally was a quote I gave him. I'll give you $1. Just go, go, go. You're already committed. You're already committed. So this obviously is not great for me. I'm on the front of the race with, a couple hundred meters left. Way too early to sprint. Boom! There goes Andy. That was an awesome move. That's my teammate. And then Andy, their second lieutenant of this Velocause team, is right on Andy. We are definitely going to catch the rider that went off the front. Andy's going to get him right now. And Andy's got a pretty legitimate shot here. But again, that hill, like I mentioned before, it's a lot longer and a lot more substantial than you think. So I'm on Andy's wheel, the Velocause guy's wheel. And I should have gone just a second sooner because I hesitated just a little bit too long. And the eventual winner, Freddie, on the left, came across my wheel. Totally fair. I'm not complaining about that one little bit, but when he came across my wheel, kind of freaked me out for a second, and I had to pull up my sprint. No excuse. He did a great race. Absolutely no issues there. Incredible sprint from Freddie and a great lead out from his teammate. All right, that's it for the race. Our goal on this channel is to grow our sport, grow our fitness, and grow our knowledge. Hopefully I delivered that to you today. Please subscribe or share this with another cyclist on your team. Thank you.